Battlefront 3 needs to come out. What up, everybody? It's called Nerdy Core, back again with another video, and this one will be a new series that I will be looking to do on my channel. This will be called Games That Need to Come Out, and I'll be talking about games that I think in the future should be ones that should come out. This will cover games that from my childhood or from early on in gaming history that I think deserve another entry into the series, or ones that I just think there needs to be a new IP surrounding a certain idea. I'll go over what I liked about the previous games if I'm talking about an older game, and then what I think the new game should take from those games and add into them. So first, we'll get into the history. So Battlefront, the original Battlefront, which was on the Xbox and PS2, released in 2004. It was done by Pandemic Studios. Battlefront 2 followed in 2005. Same systems, and both were amazing games. Then you got the kind of side Battlefront, which was Battlefront Renegade Squadron. It was a PSP release in 2007, and this was made by Rebellion Studios. They were the ones that made the Sniper Elite games, if you ever played those ones. That game was okay. It had some, for the PSP control system and having only one joystick, it was pretty decent. So as stated, Pandemic was the original studio responsible for Battlefront, which was eventually bought out by EA and then shut down in 2009. And a side note, if you ever want to play a game that's really good and similar to Battlefront, also made by Pandemic, check out Lord of the Rings Conquest. The game's awesome and resembles exactly what Battlefront's like, just with swords instead of guns. And then nowadays, you got the two current Battlefronts, which is Battlefront and Battlefront 2. They're the EA DICE versions, and they've received mixed reviews. A lot of people like the combat and the direction they're going with the actual gameplay, but the lack of features and the loot box system has really been the two things that have hit hard with the criticism for this game. Alright, so next we'll be talking about the gameplay. For me personally, Battlefront was best overall during the first two games in the series. However, the gameplay is one of the things I'd be okay with them keeping from the Battlefield styles of gameplay, with their first-person heavy combat. I would still like to see third-person more prominent in the games, to kind of pay homage to the originals, and it's meant to be a third-person, first-person shooter, so I think there should be an option to have both options in play. I think they need to go back to the fixed class system. So it would be, you have your assault, sniper, engineer, rocket launcher, heavy, and then a special unit for each of the factions. And points would be used to determine like when you can actually use the special units, kind of like in Battlefront 2. One of the things I liked specifically from Battlefront 2 is that you could change your class when you went to a command post that was controlled by your team. I think that should also be implemented into the next game. I think really Battlefront should take a step back towards a more arcadey style of game, where they look at all weapons in certain classes across all the factions function the same. They just look but have similar stats, except for the special units, which will have their own specific weapons that are tailored to the certain faction that they are. So this will keep gameplay balanced as best as possible, and it would make sure all factions are fun and there's no like overpowered factions like the Sith and the original two games. And then Jedi and movie characters could be either handled like you either get a certain amount of points for how you play, and then you can choose to play as one of the characters, or they just hand them out to whoever has the highest points at a certain time in the game, or just a random person at a certain time in the game. Alright, next we'll get into the gameplay modes and options inside the game. So this is looked at one of the biggest flaws in the more recent games due to the lack of gameplay modes that are available in it. So first up, my favorite mode in the original Battlefronts is the Galactic Conquest, and I think is one of the biggest mess-ups that the newer games suffer from. Galactic Conquest was legit the best mode, and I've spent hundreds of hours just playing through that throughout my childhood, going through each campaign in order, and then just going on to the next one the second I beat the new one, and filtering through like the Rebels, the Sith, and the Empire just over and over and over again. Playing against the AI in co-op was also one of the main points of Galactic Conquest. I would sit with my brother all the time and we would just bang out campaigns. It was a blast. This needs to be implemented back into the new games. You can keep the 2 regular campaigns of Rebel vs. Empire and Clones vs. Sith, but I think to tie it in with the new movies, you could add the new factions from the Last Jedi timeline. My suggestion would be to keep the leveling, upgrading, and troop buying system the same as Battlefront 2. You can maybe add more troops and more classes, and maybe upgrades to your troops. So, like, you could choose to upgrade the damage or health of certain style of units that you use more throughout the Galactic Conquest to kind of add more ways to level up and add more replayability. So, like, one playthrough you can level up your snipers to max, the other one you can level up your assault troopers. So it'll give more variation, and the AI also scales with you. So it would keep it fresh because you would always be playing AI that would adjust and have different tactics in order to try to defeat you. Another thing they could do really well with this is add online co-op, because I know since everything's moved away from couch co-op, I think it's key to keep the couch co-op in, but they could also implement online co-op, like kind of drop in somebody joins somebody's campaign and can just kind of fill in the role of the co-op partner that would be in couch co-op. I think this would be a really good and really big selling point. Alright, so next up we'll be looking at the story. One of the things that is plastered across all reviews of the newer Battlefront is how short and lame the story is. What they should do is a proper campaign involving the 2 new movie franchises and factions. So do like 1 to 12 missions with specific objectives, kind of like Battlefront 1 and 2, where you kind of do certain objectives, and it kind of still keeps under the conquest mode, but they can tie in the heroes and all that to it to add different variations to it. The story is not really the selling point of Battlefront games. I just think there should be a small campaign that actually has some substance to it, and they could tie it into the new movies. I think would be the best way to go, because it will add something fresh to it instead of just creating another campaign with the same factions. Next mode is instant action. This is a game mode that was really prominent mainly in Battlefront 2. Really all I need to do for this is add online private lobbies and couch co-op lobbies where you can either play co-op or PvP and change how you want that enabled, and bring back modes like Hunt, Capture the Flag, and my favorite, Hero Battles. That was one of the best game modes in Star Wars. It was fun to just play as all the heroes and fight against each other, and it was badass. And I think that's one of the main things that's been lacking in the newer Battlefronts, even from the PSP one on. Alright, so next up is the multiplayer. So keep the base game mode as Conquest, which is the typical Battlefront style combat system, which would be the command post. You capture the command post, that would be in your respawn unit. Your reinforcements will go down lower or faster based on how many command posts you have, and then once you run out of lives, that's the team wins, or they capture all the command posts. And then you can have all your classic first person, third person shooter multiplayer modes like team deathmatch, capture the flag. You can even introduce the hunt and hero modes as their own lobby style of things, kind of like party games in Call of Duty, which I think would increase the amount of just casual fun players that will have a great time playing this game. And another thing is to make sure to limit the amount of paid add-ons to the game and getting rid of loot boxes. That was such a big criticism of the original Battlefront games and their multiplayer, is how greedy and gameplay affecting the loot boxes were off the start. So this is a big, like, EA, no, don't do that. That's just what they gotta do. They just gotta, like, actually just listen to one review of anybody who knows what they're talking about this, and just take in that loot boxes do not need to be in the game. Literally just make a challenge system, kind of like Modern Warfare 2, where you would do certain things, like say for Han Solo, one of the challenges is to get like 7 kills before dying with Han Solo. You complete that challenge, you unlock like the movie younger version of Han Solo as a skin. Like, just do that with every single thing, weapons, characters, vehicles, all that. You could just make a bunch of challenges and add so much replayability to the multiplayer, which is lacking in basically every multiplayer game nowadays. So I think that would be a big thing on keeping this game relevant, and also keeping it fresh and really setting it above other shooters out right now. Alright, so that's really it. Is really not the hardest game to make a great game out of. EA, I really hope you can take some of this stuff. Like, I'm not saying I influence like what EA says, but I'm hoping I see some of this stuff implemented into a new game if they ever do release the next Battlefront. And I would really love to see this franchise flourish again, because it was one of my favorite childhood franchises. And if you guys stuck to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode in my new series. I'm hoping to do a couple other games right off the bat. I have one lined up that I'm probably going to try to release by the end of next month. I also have a top 10 coming out next, so that will be what basically to look forward for on my channel next. Please make sure to leave comments and like talk about and discussions about either what I'm talking about or just gaming in general. I always like getting back to people who leave messages, and let me know how you guys like the new series. This is my first time doing the kind of voiceover gameplay style of video with kind of editing involved into it. So just let me know how I did and any improvements that you think I could be making. And if you guys like seeing these type of videos, or would you rather see me go back to my more collection-based videos? So thanks for watching, and just remember, everybody has some nerdiness at their core.